Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I want to thank you to America's Islamic Heritage Museum program Behind the Music. I know a lot of Muslims say that music is a haram, but in my humble life and what I find in the Quran, I have not seen nowhere where the Quran say that music is haram. I do find within the Quran guidance where we're supposed to say our prayers in a low a middle tone and a romantic tone. I see also in Islamic history the Adhan with Bilal and many others, in our prayers, the tone and the rhythm. Also, you see within the Quran the story of Dawood, the only prophet that was called a Khalifa. And if you go study his life and his history, you see that he used the harp as a means to heal people. Music was a means to heal people. You see that within your own self. You hear certain songs, certain rhythm, it can make you feel good. It can be a form of healing. Um, and then you also see within the guidance of the Quran, and when you hear at the end, when people talk about instrument, well, for what I see in the Quran, we're going to be called at the last day in time by a trumpet. So if if these things was rhythm and voice and words and an instrument was haram, he wouldn't use these vehicles. So I don't believe that music is haram. It's how we use music, which make it a haram. And that is why I believe into sharing people's music and art, because within their art, many of them are doing the art of expression, art of belief. So today we're going to feature the brother Charles Rahmat, Shabazz, the brother artist I met a few years ago, who's a very creative artist. We'll watch and then we'll come back. That was Brother Charles Rahmat at a quick outdoor concert coming by the museum. We're gonna allow one more to play. This is an outdoor performance at the Waterbird. And then we're gonna let Charles share some of his insight. As we heard that gentle call, man, let me try to pause everything. Inshallah, bear with me on our technology. All right, Brother Charles, it is yours. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Brother Amir, thank you so much for inviting me to your platform, sir.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, sir. What you have questions, or what do you want me to do?
Yes. When did you start playing music, and what inspired you?
Well, I have my story with starting music is like so many of us. As a very young person, 4 or 5 years old, whatever. My father and mother had a piano in the house. My father used to sing calypso around Buffalo, New York, where I grew up. And my mother, she dabbled with the piano. So my father actually, he played by ear, but he played a lot of piano, not usually at home, but when he'd be out at various functions. So I was exposed to a lot of music. We always had records around the house, what they call vinyl now. In fact, we had 78s, you know what I mean? So so I grew up, listening to old 78s of Louis Armstrong and Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, and then the LPs, as they called them. We had a lot of Duke Ellington and people like that, So I grew up around not necessarily a performance family, but a lot of our music was around us in terms of the so-called jazz idiom, So in grade school, Buffalo, New York had at that time in the 50s, had a wonderful music program. I mean, for in elementary school, you could rent an instrument and play in a band. And so I picked up the clarinet in grade school and played that. And I was fortunate enough. I was just in the latter part of the 50s, they were busing children around, so they took me out of my neighborhood, which was a thing. But a bunch of us from our neighborhood went to a school on the west side of Buffalo, and it was mainly like an Italian area. But musically, it was wonderful because I played in the school orchestra in grade school, and it was like 40 strings, man. You know what I mean? So it was a full orchestra, and that really expanded my ear. So I played clarinet. After I left, I went back to the neighborhood to junior high and high school, and I picked up the flute then because I wanted to play piano. But at that time, our old upright had broken, and we got rid of that, and we couldn't really afford another piano. So I was taking lessons with a sister down the street, and she said I had some skills, but I couldn't practice, you know what I mean? So I was trying to figure out, what am I going to play? So I would look out my front door window, and every day after school, I would see this brother walk by my house with a little flute case, a little case. I said, man, that looks kind of cool. Plus, it's easy to carry, right? So, alhamdulillah, I picked up the flute, and that was like a natural uh, instrument for me. My high school teacher, I went to a technical high school in Buffalo, New York, Hutch Tech, originally to be trained as an engineer. And I was in electrical engineering, but I also picked up the flute and would jam with the school band combo in the basement. There was a Italian instructor named Mr. Anzalone. And Mr. Anzalone was the first, actually, he was the first person I heard live play a soprano sax. He loved John Coltrane. And so that got in my ear also, you know. So, after I graduated from high school, I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to Syracuse University. And I went there in 1968, which I'm sure you and many others remember. Those were turbulent years. So I played with a group called the Phil Clendenin Quartet and Quintet. And Phil Clendenin is a genius of a piano player who also went to Syracuse. He's currently working for Yamaha. He's the East Coast representative for Yamaha Corporation. And we played, Miles and all that kind of good stuff. So one day he said, well, man, why don't you pick up a saxophone? So I said, okay, the fingerings were similar to the flute. So I started researching saxophone and was able to pick that up. Took some lessons with a gentleman from India, East India, saxophone lessons, Ralph DeMello, who ended up being, I think he was the first chair at the Syracuse Symphony. And I took flute with a young lady named Sue Roberts. And the first album, because you buy albums, you listen to cats, right? The thing about the era that I came into the music was, and I'm sure you remember this, it wasn't so much copying. Our generation wasn't copying Bird and Miles, and it wasn't our goal to copy what they were doing, but to build on what they were doing and create something new. And out of that, I think we were highly influenced by like Archie Shepp and Pharoah Sanders and people like that. And so the first album I bought was Charles Lloyd, of course, which because on the album cover he had a flute and a saxophone, right? So that's what I was playing. So that album was very influential. I mean, it had Tony Williams on it, a young Tony Williams, Ron Carter, Garbo Zabo, the European guitar player. The second album naturally I bought was John Coltrane, the one entitled Coltrane with Out of This World. So at that point we were out of this world, you know what I mean? We were studying the spiritual aspects of the music. So that's that was the basis for my introduction to the music. While I was at Syracuse, of course, it was the Vietnam War was going on. They had assassinated Martin Luther King, amongst many others. It was a very obvious war on the Black community and the Panther Party and Black Panther Party and things of this nature. And I was an engineering student, but I decided I did not want to be part of that military industrial complex because it seemed like, the engineers and scientists coming out were going right into the corporations that were building the weapons and improving on napalm and all that sort of thing. You know what I mean? So I decided, actually, August 4th, 1969, I remember, I decided I was going to be a professional musician and devote myself to the music. And, John Coltrane's, the liner notes on the original Love Supreme, okay? John, at that time, in my humble opinion, he was expressing a very Islamic approach towards spirituality. He was saying Allahu Akbar in so many words, and that was a the mantra that we picked up, you know, our little group picked up. And you know, as I said, I just devoted myself to the music because I felt the need to strive to be a force for good. So some of us, we formed a group. We formed a group called Tarika Blue. I have been studying. Actually, I've been studying Eastern religion and philosophy since I was like 11 years old. I think when I was 11, I read Alan Watts, the story of Zen or something like that. You know, and taking martial arts. You know, all the martial arts schools were coming out of the East, and they had philosophy. So we were exploring a lot of things, and I was at that time studying some of the works of Idris Shah, you know, the writer, and you know, the Sufi writers and stuff like that. And I got to tell you this. So when I was a lot of things clicked together. I hope I'm not going on too long, right?
No.
Okay.
I got two questions. You saw me bubbling because I'm telling you, I got like a couple of questions that you said, and then you open that door, I'm gonna take advantage of it.
Okay.
That I heard two rivers come through to you. That was one, the 68, 69, the civil rights era consciousness. And then I heard that spiritual awakening consciousness come to you, and you express Pharaoh Saunders and Idris Shaw, and as far as the Sufi thought, because I'm a firm believer that music is a form of healing. It can be a tool for good and a tool for bad.
Yeah.
You know, and it's how one uses that too. You know, and I do believe that God has been inspired. But then the prior thing, and then it's going to get off me, is that I heard you say about the horn. Now, so my experience with the horn, my father had an album, I think it's Waldorf, or somebody had the horn. I can remember a plaid shirt. And then I had a brother that played the saxophone. And then and I never was taught how to play, but that was the only instrument that I thought I could play by ear. Me and my little brother used to play Cool in the Gang Raw Hamburger by the saxophone by ear, hitting some notes. I thought I did pretty good, you know.
All right.
But then I didn't like it after that because my sister picked up the sax. My father must have loved that sax. He made somebody carry it. So now I had to carry the sax to school for my sister. Every time there was band, you know, and that was a big hill. So I got disliking the sax, but music was a means. And I truly believe it is a means that we as a people, not only us as African-American people, but people prior to us, the Egyptians through the revolution and others, they use music as a form of communication.
Absolutely.
How to make something better, how to improve upon yourself, and how to quiet your soul and your spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it was definitely going into it full time or with a full heart the decision was definitely a spiritual one, right? Now, as I said, things started tying together for me because I remember now when I was about 8 years old, okay? When I was about 8 years old, my aunt came up from New Orleans and she gave me a little crystal radio. I don't know if you remember those, but the crystal radios didn't have batteries. They were just little radios. You had a little wire antenna and you clipped it to a piece of metal.
Or pipe metal or something.
You know what I'm saying? And you could tune in to stations. Well, she gave me this little radio, this little white radio, big as matchbox, really. I mean, a big matchbox.
Right. It was small.
And I was 8 years old, and I was in my bed. I said, well, I'm gonna hook this up to my mattress. You know, I hooked it up to the mattress metal, you know, the box spring, whatever. And I tuned in. And brother, this is the truth. And I'm sharing this with you. The first voice, it was in the morning. I think it was a Sunday morning, I think. The first voice I heard on that crystal radio when I was 8 years old was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Wow.
And what he said, the first thing I heard him say was, "You are all Muslims by nature."
Wow.
I'm 8 years old. I had no idea what Muslim was, but I heard that, and then I heard his voice, and that stuck with me, right? When I was a young child, even younger than that, my grandmother used to live on Jefferson Avenue, which was, uh, that was the street in Buffalo, you know what I mean? The Black Street. And I remember when the Nation of Islam's temple was they had taken the Broadway theater and made that into the temple there. And I could see the temple from my my grandmother's porch when we would visit, right? And I remember looking at the brothers, and they impressed me so much because they were suited and they were doing things. They had energy, they were doing stuff. You know what I mean? Now, I was a youngster, I didn't know what they were doing, but they were doing it, and they were doing it with dignity and class, right?
Right.
So, with all these things tied together, as I said, when I got into college and we made this decision, and we said at that time, I said, I'm gonna get me a Muslim name. I'm leaving this other stuff behind, and we're gonna play music. We're gonna be a force for good, and that's what Tarika Blue was designed to do. It was designed not to be, on the pop radio charts and all that, but it was designed to share the spirit of what this music is about and what our all these musical masters have contributed to the music.
Okay,
Now,
alhamdulillah. At that note,
yeah.
I'm gonna try to play a couple more of your
Okay.
songs.
Thank you, brother.
I want to let one more play, my brothers and
Okay.
sisters.
All right.
Please. This one is God's gift.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
And Brother Rahmat, if you can feel free to interject anything as you hear it play that you may want to say.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to comment on that last one if I could.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
All right. That last number was called Bohemia After Dark. It was written by the great bass player Oscar Pettiford. And Oscar Pettiford, that song is part of a repertoire that I do about so-called jazz artists with Native American heritage. I have a lot of Choctaw in my heritage, you know, and the messenger always said that the red man is our brothers, and a lot of us have, you know, they're our brothers. So, you know, a lot of us on this side, going through what we did, we've mixed with the tribe. So at any rate, Oscar Pettiford is part of the Choctaw tribe, which was my great grandmother's tribe, right? And a brother from that tribe, I met him. He gave me this beautiful Native American flute, right, that he makes. And I thought it was important for me to have, you know, this wooden flute, this natural. He grows the bamboo in his backyard, and he produces these wonderful, peaceful instruments, you know. And but Oscar Pettiford, Don Cherry, Sonny Murray, a lot of those brothers have Native American heritage. So one of my projects that I perform with around the area in the country is this music that was produced by jazz artists with Native American heritage. And I think that's an important part that gets missed. You know, that gets missed in some of the dialogue.
I agree. And can you spell Chakawa?
Choctaw, well, the English spelling is Choctaw.
Okay.
Choctaw.
Reason why I asked,
Yeah.
because my mother and all her siblings
Yes.
was born in Tawaba,
Mm-hmm.
area of North Carolina, and
Okay.
between Danville, Milton area,
Yes, sir.
Halifax County. In
Mm-hmm.
all the records, it says that. And I never knew. I know she used to say she was born in the country, but it says that. Then when you go look in the census record, Coswell County, it claims that that was a misspelling or a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you go look further, that Coswell County and those other areas, Orange County was part of the Chakatawaba
Mm-hmm.
area, so they
Yeah.
lost it.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know, so
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
totally right. There's definitely that connection that it takes.
There's definitely that connection, and it's another tie into that. When I went to Syracuse University, Syracuse is in the Onondaga territory, and the Onondaga tribe in central New York was the seat of the government of the Iroquois Federation. There were like 5 tribes in Iroquois, and Onondaga, their seat of government, akin to Washington D.C. or any, was the Onondaga Nation, and I would visit with the tribe there. In fact, I had a concert in Syracuse University some years ago, and so at the time I had a sister, a black drummer from England, named Cheryl. I think her name was Cheryl Wills or something. But she, she's from England, and she had not had any exposure to the Native American culture here. So I said, okay. So we had a whole band in the van, and we drove on our way to Syracuse. We stopped in the Onondaga reservation, they call it, but now it's called territory. And fortunately, they were having a powwow at the time. So the band and Cheryl, they were able to interact and have a good time there, right? The only thing was, right, couldn't eat anything, right? Because all the food had that swine in it. You know what I mean? And I told the sister, I told the sister, because they do a thing up in that part of the country called corn soup, right? So you think we just had corn, but it's got a lot of that swine in it, right? And I told her, she was like, well, have some. I said, no, I can't eat pork. I can't eat that. And so they promised next time I come through that they would make some without that swine in it, So, but I mean, it's a lot of connections there, brother. A lot of
Now,
connections.
what were some of the instruments that they use?
Well, to tell you the truth, now this is the deal. The traditional Native Americans, they use their traditional instruments. They use, the drum is very important in their culture and ceremonies. The big drum, they have smaller drums and shakers and rattles, and they have some small flutes, you know what I mean? In the traditional standpoint. But again, people tend to not realize that, Native Americans are still here and they're modern. There's urban Indians, you know what I mean? So you don't see, at the powwows and stuff, you don't see, I've played some with saxophone and some, doing stuff like that. And there was a great Native American saxophonist named Jim Pepper. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but you may want to look him up. He played a lot. He played with Don Cherry and a lot of, he was a heck of a saxophonist, very powerful saxophonist. He passed away maybe some years ago, and maybe 2010, something like that. But he was involved in the avant-garde jazz community. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so he would play around like that. And in fact, I felt I was blessed. I went to his band when they gave him a tribute after he passed at the Museum of the Native American Indian in Washington, D.C. I went to that ceremony, and they were retiring his saxophone. He had a beautiful silver tenor sax. And man, I was fortunate enough to hold it before they took it in the back, put it in the archives, you know what I mean? So but yeah, their instruments, of course, you know, you can read and study. I mean, there's native, they use their native instruments, but you know, they're modern people. You know what I mean? They've been
Right.
decimated.
There's always an evolution and growth for everyone.
Man. You know, I mean, the colonialists, you know, effectively, you know, decimated the numbers, but man, they, you know, they like us, they're strong, you know.
I hear that. I hear that. All right, my brother, I'm gonna play a few more, man. Come back, man. It's a great job, man. I love it, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That boy beating that thing. That boy kicking. Woo! Woo, bro. That was excellent, man.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
That just moves the spirit. You can't tell me you wasn't lost and drift into the love of Allah. I mean, I just can't. I don't understand. That is the beauty and the harmony.
Yes, sir, brother. And I tell you, Ahmad Jamal is a good friend of mine, right? And Ahmad once told me, he said, music is a gift from Allah. And he said, when Allah gives you a gift, you have to share it. And
Yes.
and you know, over the years, of course, I've run into brothers from various Islamic cultures that do not, uh, they don't accept music as being valid, or you know what I mean. They
Yes.
won't listen to it, whatever. Uh, I agree with you. I mean, I listened to you and Brother Bilal the other day, and you were laying it down, Brother Amir. And I believe, as Ahmad Jamal told me, the great pianist, if it's a gift from Allah, you have to share it. It's your
Yeah,
duty to
man.
share it. Now,
That's the only way. It is, Elijah said Islam is mathematics, mathematics is Islam.
yes, sir.
Mathematics is formulas and solutions.
Yes, sir.
And in Islam, one of the formulas is that you got to give back what is given.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Which
sir.
one of your favors of your Lord will you deny? Loan to Allah what He's giving you back.
That's the truth.
Through your life experiences and everything. Like people say this haram, and I grant you, there's many people that's haram. Like my era, like what I love about you, man, but you take me back to for me, it was the beat nets,
Yes.
Dobie Gillis and all that. I was a young buck, so I hear that jazz vibration, man. And I love that Allah allowed us to bring it back to the museum.
Yeah.
So those pictures that they see in backing was museum, and the museum was music month, and we was highlighting Muslim contribution to American music, because this is a contribution that we've done, and if we give this to this world that we say music is haram, we're not going to touch it, then we're going to allow somebody else to control our culture.
Yes, sir.
And we see that in the change in the message of the music and the direction that they move us. And we have to be careful. Like I seen some Muslims walking, Allah says, what we got to watch what we eat. And that is not just a physical eat, but what we eat take into our eyes, what we eat take into our ears. Now, I was riding by one day, I heard this music now. These days it's up to F this, F that. Oh my God. Yeah, and it was a Muslim that was listening to it. Okay, come on, man. You got to be careful what goes through your mind.
You have to be careful.
Now,
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like for me, there was the temptation, and music is a very powerful thing. People have the ability, and I think this is why Allah encourages us to remember the Quran through a rhythmic tone, because through rhythm we can remember.
Yes, sir.
There's one song that they had before people even came around, and all I go hum and they'll catch it. Dum 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 dum. Dun, 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 dun. Most people know my girl, and it's just thin. They could sing the words.
Yeah.
But then they had a song, and I think helped produce my environment when I came into the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam taught freedom, justice, and equality.
Yes,
and that's what they said Islam was, for freedom, justice, and equality. Temptations had a song in the 72s. They had a record, what was it? Ain't no justice in this picture that you painting of me in your mind. There ain't, and then they use the tone. Ain't no justice in that picture that you're painting of me in your mind. And that is our reality. There was no justice that they was painting of the picture that they had perception of us. Yes, so when Islam, Elijah Muhammad, Imam with Imam in the community, they hollered out, Islam is freedom, justice, and equality. We saw the injustice, we're going to that.
Yeah.
I mean to go off on a tangent, man.
No, that's good. That's beautiful, bro. And I did I was on a panel with Minister Carlos up in Baltimore, and Derek Amin, who's the imam up at Morgan State, who's also piano player, and we were talking about the subject of music, and Derek Amin, Imam Amin, he had done extensive research in the book, in the book, and he said he could not find any problems with music per se, and I put it, in addition to what he said, I said, and it's the intent of what we're doing. If you go in with the right intent, then you're within the blessings of Allah. I just want to show this book right here. I don't know if it's coming up backwards or not, but this is one of the great Yusef Latif's manuals. Now, I was blessed to receive this from his widow. This is a very old book, Yusef Latif's method on how to improvise soul music. And he talks about the soul and how important the soul is, and how intense, you know, how this music affects the soul. You know, he came down with it. So it's a rare book. I donated it to the archives up there, and I'll certainly, I have another copy. I can donate you a copy too for the museum.
But brother, you scan one, keep one to make it digitized.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll get that to you.
Yeah, but digitize it before you even get it to me. Scan it, digitize it, so there's a digitized copy.
Okay, I'll make that happen for you. I'll make that happen. But I was wondering, would you be able to? This is my latest CD, right?
Yeah.
Tarika Blue Notebook. Can you allow
Go
me
ahead,
to share?
Yeah, it's share your screen.
Okay. Well, yes. I wanted to preface that on my latest CD, Tarika Blue Notebook, just came out in November. I'm doing a lot of originals, but I'm also doing one of Ahmad Jamal's compositions entitled After Fajr. And he did this on one of his albums. He has lyrics to it also, but I did an instrumental version. And I was talking with Ahmad, and he was like, you know, he gave me permission to record it. And he said, brother, he said, you know, I thought this song might really take off in the Islamic community, you know. And then we talked about music and communities, right? But I really fell in love with this composition, and I wanted to share it. So if you allow me, I'll do that. This is with my current working band, and certainly I would hope that anyone interested would pick this up. It's on all the platforms. Hold on just 1 second. Let me, here we go. Okay.
How you doing that? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother Yasin. Brother,
Yes, sir.
excellent. Now,
Thank you.
I will share with you just my inspiration from it. That is Fajr.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
reason why I didn't take off, because it's quiet. Like
Yes, sir.
Fajr is quiet. I
Alhamdulillah.
heard the morning dew.
Mhm.
I heard the horn. You know that picture they give us of the Muslims or the Arabs or the Indian guy playing the little horn or the flute with the instrument, bringing the snake up out
Yeah, yeah.
the basket or the hat.
Right, right.
Well, I've heard the flute rise in my soul, my spirit, to dance
Alhamdulillah.
within the spirit of the love of Allah. And see, what you see is that you have the dervish, you know, use sound and music and rhythm to take them into a dervish swirl of loving Allah. You see the other tariqas, the African tariqas, use the drums and use other instruments to bring about rhythms and vibrations to help that fluid that's within back of us, to line our spirit into the consciousness of loving of Allah and dancing off, you know, into that drift, you know. This is where that music can be used as a vehicle and as a means. And I thank you for that beauty. Anything else you'd like to share? Because if not, I'm gonna play another one, man.
Okay. No, thank you. That was a beautiful commentary, brother. And I just want to mention one thing. Well, I guess you go ahead and play. You go ahead and play another cut. I was going to tell you about my experience with Lee Morgan. So
okay, we'll come back with that, guys. Matter of fact, this next one is the Chakawa Jane.
Alhamdulillah.
Boy, Brother Charles, Rahmat, excellent, excellent.
Thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
I'm going to try to pause this next one coming. Then.
Okay, I just want to say one thing.
Yes, come on, say it.
Actually, that song is from my previous CD, Rahmat Shabazz Trio Plus, and that is actually called A Flower for Flow. You know, I remember, and you know, you've been so gracious by presenting artists at the museum, man. I gotta salute you for that. And
no, I salute you and all the artists, man. That's the beautiful job that people don't know what they missed. My God.
Alhamdulillah. Well, you know, this music is for the planet, and it's for all the people on the planet. You know, during this epidemic, you know, I think I've read a hadith by the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to stay away from places that had epidemics and stay away from it. So that's why we have to, you know, take care of ourselves now. But inshallah, at some point or some kind of way, we have to find a way to be able to share with each other, you know?
Inshallah, we will. And this is going to go out. We're going to put it out on Facebook, YouTube, everywhere else. That we pray that will stimulate and motivate others.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to play this last one. For me, this is old school rap. You know, because you use voice, and then we'll come back on. And I'm amazed that I was able to handle the technology.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is one that you brought a brother up to talk about Ramadan. And you have brought other artists up that use the word, the spoken word as a means to communicate.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. You know, if you want to be happy, be. Sign of the time, advertisement to your mind, pulling you out of the darkness into which you have sank. Removing the snake, yeah, you've been hit by Satan, the enemy of man and woman, and that which is in the womb. Satan prepares each and everyone's tomb, then predicts their doom. You've been taking a hit. Instead of taking a hit, be a hit. Because if I can wash, I can pray. And if I can pray, I can stay on the way that Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad say is the way, the well-lit truth that gives proof that the man can stand against wrong strong and prove that he's always the hereafter, enjoying laughter. Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem. Arm, leg, arm, head. Submit you 5-pointed star. Submit your will to Allah, and He will cause your blood to flow pure to the extreme, turning you golden. Filth, mud all around cannot stain your soul. When you pray, say my prayer, my sacrifice of service, my life and my death are all for Allah. Master of the judgment day, Lord of the world. If I can wash, I can pray. And if I can pray, I can stay on the way that Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad say, this is the way, the well-lit truth that gives truth that the woman can stand against wrong strong and prove that she belongs in the hereafter. Enjoying life. after gardens, gardens with rivers flowing beneath, fruit hanging low and near, companions pure in spirit, but God, here yet, He. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brother. Thank you, Museum. Thank you, people. We're all praying that we want to do that. We're going to close this out. All right. I thank Allah for the opportunity to be here with you this afternoon. Every day. Is that true? Thank you. So again, for Rodney Mathis, who did such a great service on the drums, Emily Diggs on the bass, and Mike on the bass. My brother Shabazz, also known as Charles Mountford. I love you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Woo! Brother, mashallah. I hope this message is exciting to you and good to you as it was to me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Oh man. Mashallah. Any closing words, any closing thoughts?
Well, brother, I mean, Yasin asked a question that I was I can address about.
Yes.
Yasin was up in Canada, and I'm familiar with Canada. I'm from Buffalo, New York, and we used to be able to cross that border and hang out up there. And I also had a disco jazz hit up in Canada back in the 70s, you know, but that's a different story, right? But in terms of audiences, our people all over the world, you know, we've been misdirected, and our culture has been so suppressed and marginalized that many of us miss the jewels that we've been given by Allah. You know what I mean? There's many people in the world that recognize it. You know, as jazz musicians have always said, they were able to go to, you know, Dexter Gordon and all those guys, go to Europe, and they were received like kings and queens. You know, in Japan, our music is very well received. In the United States, in North America, it's suppressed. You know, there's a lot of interference. If you want, you know, if I can call it that, interference and suppression. So in terms of exposing our people, especially in today's world, I think we have certain tools, you know, that are accessible via the internet, like you're doing, Brother Amir, to be able to present music even on a local basis. I think you know, individuals have to do it on a smaller level, house concerts, you know, small concerts in areas. You know, the music business is a different animal. You know what I mean? It's been built up in this, you know, you got people that have been diverted by these dreams of big hits and money and all that. Traditionally, the musicians were part of the local community. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And even the fact of being a professional musician, being paid to travel all over the country, you know, that's a fairly new concept in civilization. You know what I mean? So I think we'll have to keep it local. You know, what's that old nomenclature? Think globally, act locally. You know.
There you go. There you go.
And to emphasize that, my Lee Morgan experience in February of '72, I and some friends, including Mansour Abdul Nasser, he's called a Mansour Ansari now. He's was a trumpet player at the time. But we went to Slugs in New York to hear Lee Morgan's band. Lee Morgan was playing for like 3 nights in a row. And I was there every night. That was the weekend that Lee Morgan was shot and killed. But the night before he was shot, we were there. There was only a small audience in this club. And it was a tremendous concert with Billy Harper, Harold Mayburn, Freddie Waits, and Jimmy Merritt. And at the end of their fantastic performance, Lee Morgan took the microphone and stood on the stage by himself, and he preached for at least a half an hour. And he preached about the need for Black people to create their own, to do for self, to create their own clubs, to control their own cultural gems. In a nutshell, that's what he was talking about. I had never heard a jazz musician take time like that and speak like that. You know what I mean? I mean, he was laying it out, man.
Yeah, no.
And
it's
yes.
very important, really.
Yes,
And then it's that time, you know, because we got to produce healthy thoughts, healthy vibrations, if we're going to save ourselves. You know, we got to get out that tradition of responding to Satan or our weak desires, our weak ways, and call the people into more of a positive and productive way. No, I agree. And I do see that this means with alhamdulillah, Allah says, tell us to go in the caves. We see this in tradition. People going into the caves, even Prophet Muhammad getting revelation being in the cave. Well, this COVID put us in a cave, in our house cave, and hopefully we take some time to reevaluate ourselves, reassess ourselves, realign ourselves, and maybe tapping our creativity and trusting that creativity that Allah has given us, that we may be able to share that light, that creativity.
Yes, sir. And I certainly hope that, because I'm a touring musician and, recording artist, I'm open to travel anywhere that people want that, where they want the positive music and they want to have something to share. So
very good.
Yes,
how
sir.
can they reach you? How can they contact you?
Well, I put my website in the
But
chat.
say it because they won't see it on the chat.
Okay.
When it's being recorded.
My website is www.rahmatshabazz.com. That's Rahmat, RahmatShabazz.com. And I certainly, it's up and running. There's a lot of information there, and please contact me, and we can make this thing happen. One thing that this epidemic has done is caused everyone to downsize. So in terms of musicians, we're going to have to travel on a lower budget, because people don't have the money. Our people don't. So we can do that. Let's work it out. Let's keep, let's work out whatever we have to do, stay safe, but to keep our culture growing and strong, keep the young people exposed to, live music and the creativity. We can do this, inshallah.
Inshallah, brother Yasir out there in Canada, inshallah, that the Canadians will respond. We can build a cultural relationship. Absolutely. We thank everyone. Please respond with your artistic way. If you think you have some artistic skills, or you know someone that has a very positive artistic message, contact us at America's Islamic Heritage Museum, AIHmuseum.org, and we'll try to highlight you and show you. We thank you, Brother Charles, Rahmat Shabazz. MashaAllah, man. Love you, man. Love you, man. Great job. Great job.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Alaykum assalam. Walas, another sign of the feet, Kusala, Aminu Sali Hati, Watawasa Bahaki, Watawasa Bisab. And then within that, we're saying, well, surely by the token of time, within time, man is in law. It's set. Those exhort one another, encourage one another to the truth.
Yes, sir.
And not to go on the ways, of the unrighteous ways. So these are what we're trying to encourage you to, the truth and to the light of sound and of rhythm and vibration, which is all natural. Matter of fact, you was in Buffalo. I grew up in Connecticut. And when we hear that, the wind had a sound.
Yes,
that wind would say, and then it would let we used to say the hawk. The hawk is out there. Or the hawk and his family. If it was too loud, then we say the hawk and his family, or Mr. Hawk. But we taking signs within the sounds of creation. So come on, be true to yourself. Know thyself and be true to thyself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Nice to know.